So we have a big challenge. Our first solution, it seems, to most problems is whatever it is that's not working already, just do that thing harder. Clearly, there's not any possibility there is new information or a different way of looking at it or something you're missing. The thing that is not getting the results you're looking for, just do that thing harder. When we're talking about fat loss, that's commonly diet and exercise. Diet doesn't work, it's not the problem with just jumping into another diet. That couldn't be it. It must just be this individual diet doesn't work for you, or maybe it doesn't work at all, and just pick up a new diet. Switch diet A for diet B, and then work hard at diet B. Or sometimes don't even switch, just we weren't doing diet A hard enough. We got to make sure there's no exceptions. Make sure we're doing diet A perfectly. Be good little religious zealots for diet A. But then if diet A still doesn't work, then eventually we're just either quitting altogether or we're going to diet B. But what if the whole idea of diet is leading you in the wrong direction? Same thing with exercise. If CrossFit's not working for me, maybe some hot yoga is the secret that's going to melt the pounds off me. Or we're just not doing CrossFit hard enough. More reps, more time, more days a week. And yet still 80% of people that lose weight end up putting it back on in the next 2 to 5 years. We need a different approach. If you want to lose the weight permanently, you need a different approach. Do it harder is not sufficient. When you've got something that's working and you turn up the intensity on it, sometimes that will get you more results. When you've got something that's not working and you turn up the intensity on it, most of the time that's only going to burn you out, frustrate you, and get you back to that point where you don't want to mess with diet, exercise, or anything else regarding weight loss at all. It's okay to try something new. And if you've got something, it's either working a little bit or you're not certain, but you want to stick with it, you can stick with whatever you're doing right now as far as diet and exercise are concerned. Just begin to long-term change your brain for fat loss, because that's what's going to win for you long-term. If you come to this with the right attitude, you're going to get there. You might get there with the help of a diet or with the help of an exercise program. Quite frequently, people just sort of put pieces together that work for them, and they sort of Frankenstein together a diet and or an exercise program that gets them where they're going once they've changed their brain for fat loss. So once you do that, once you start to see these things differently, once you realize when someone has a whole complete diet that you don't need the vast majority of that, it's kind of like a buffet. The vast majority of stuff on the buffet you might not want to eat for a variety of reasons, but there might be 1 or 2 things you want to eat. And if you go to a different buffet later, same thing. You don't want to eat the whole buffet. You don't even want to sample everything at the buffet, but there might be a few things that you want to eat at the buffet. It's an interesting metaphor for fat loss, talking about a buffet, I know. But when you look at the diet, look for the things that might work for you. The things that I've seen work consistently for people are moderate carb reduction, adding in healthy fats. I suggest coconut oil, at least to start with. For exercise, start with something light to moderate if you're already exercising, but preferably light, and just make that a habit. Do it on your own, so it's your habit. It's not a habit of going to the gym or going to a group class or going to something like that. Do those things if you want to. That's fine, but you want your own exercise habit. You don't need other people there to support. And the cool thing is, once you get this, once you really get it down, you might realize you don't need the gym or CrossFit or Orange Theory or anything else. I'm not knocking any of those things. But if you don't need them, why are you paying for them? If it's really helping you get where you want to go, or it's fun, or it's giving you the body you want, great. But in addition to that, don't you want an exercise routine that you do where it's a celebration of your body, where it's enjoyable, where it adds energy to your life, as well as getting you in better shape and potentially helping you lose some fat? There's a lot of benefits of exercise. A lot of people are missing them because they're going to the wrong places. Those things are nice additions. The group programs, the gym membership, those might be nice additions to your own exercise program, but they should be additions. If they're the primary thing, all it takes is, well, a lockdown, say, or something else going wrong with that business, or whatever else might happen that cuts you off from that, and then you're scrambling to find another one. But if you're just walking every day, well, it's hard to take that away from you. If you're just doing some light calisthenics or some work with some bands, they're very inexpensive. It's hard to take that away from you. You're doing it at your home or out in your backyard or wherever else you go to do it. When it's you and you don't need some business or group of people there to make it happen, it's really yours. That's your success. And you will feel the difference when you make that a habit. It can be a very small habit. If you're already working out somewhere else, you don't have to add a whole nother hour on. Tack on 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes to do something that's just for you. If it works best as a warm-up to whatever other workout you're doing, fine. If it doesn't, do it in the morning. Get yourself going with a little bit of light exercise, a little bit of light walking. And make that the celebration it should be. Make that the enjoyable activity it should be. This is a huge piece of changing your brain for fat loss. And that little habit can just be 5 minutes. Now, 5 minutes of walking isn't going to turn you into Schwarzenegger. You probably know that already. But it is the beginning of a long-term habit which will continue to support you for the rest of your life. And when 5 minutes a day is so easy it's just instinctive, then you can start stretching it out. You can add on another 5-10 minutes. You can add in the light calisthenics or whatever else it is you want to add in. But get that one habit in place first. That one humble habit that there's no point in bragging about to your friends or on Instagram, so you know it will really be about you. And when you feel good about that, then start adding to it. Back in my 20s, I think I've mentioned a few times, I was really into martial arts. And you see a lot of people get into martial arts very briefly and then they drop out. One of the reasons for this, there's many, but there's one, probably the biggest reason I've seen. People want to show up and do the cool thing, right? They want to do a cool, impressive move. They want to, these days, I don't know, I never did much time in jiu-jitsu classes, but these days, I don't know, it might be a quick choke or some other quick finish, maybe a flying arm bar or something like that. Back in the 90s, there's all these Van Damme movies out, and lots of people wanted to do these very picturesque jump, spinning heel hooks and other types of kicks like that, and you can definitely learn how to do that. But it takes time, and there's usually a lot of basics that have to be learned before that. If you can't throw an effective kick just standing there, a regular standard kick without jumping, without spinning, then what are the chances of you throwing an effective jump spinning kick? Almost zero. So people want to show up and start working on the impressive thing right away, or they just want to show up and be amazing already. Everybody wants to be a black belt. Nobody wants to work their way through the ranks. But to the degree a black belt or a person who's been an athlete in the martial arts for years can do those kind of picturesque jump kicks, they have to work their way to that. If you're not willing to work your way to that, then you're not really interested in it. You're just interested in having something that looks impressive. And I get that. That's part of human nature. Doesn't make you bad or wrong or evil. Just recognize it and ask yourself the sincere question. But am I willing to do months and more likely years of work to get there? If you are, then every little step along the way is a powerful increase in the satisfaction that will ultimately culminate in your goal, although your goal may change, in an impressive goal being achieved. But you don't get to impressive by trying to be impressive. You get to impressive by willingness to do the basic steps, by showing up, starting at the ground level and building from there. Doing the basic, simple stuff and building it over time into more complex stuff until you get to something that the average person can barely imagine doing. That's very cool. But again, the real thing is in you. If you get this right, by the time you get to be impressive, you'll be very unconcerned by being impressive. It might be a nice little bonus to you. But the real thing is the satisfaction you get from following through on the basics until the basics just part of who you are. And then you realize how cool having a daily exercise practice, even if it's simple and unimpressive to gym pros, you get how cool it is to have that. And it's just based off you, and you don't need to show up with a bunch of other people to, impress them with it or try to compete with them with it. It's not that there's anything wrong with being impressive or competing. It's that you need to build those basic habits for you. And you start there. And once that's a part of you, you're already changed. You'll already feel very differently. You have no idea right now just how differently you can feel 30 to 60 days from today if you've been consistent with something, no matter how basic it is. So take those basic steps. You're going to be very happy you did. I'm Ben Langley. Thanks very much for spending some time with me today. We'll talk again soon.